morning, 8th grade. Welcome to day 5 of week 6. Today is May 1st. So I just wanted to give you a quick review for your evidence today. I did post a few links here to help you review as well, and explains what you would have to do for the 4 questions that you will see on today's evidence. So I hope that you use that as a guide. You're going to click on today's classwork. You'll go down to week 5. Your evidence of mastery will be right here. The directions are at the top. You need to show your work for this evidence, so you can either complete it digitally if you know how to do that, or you can send me the pictures using any of the options that I provided that you guys have been doing anyway throughout the week. Remember, this does count as an assessment grade, so it will be marked out of 100 and will be averaged into your overall grade in your assessment average. So the evidence is right here. You'll click on it and complete it. Just as a reminder of what you're going to have to do. So the first question, they ask you to solve by graphing. So if you remember, you look at your equation. You're going to work one at a time. So in my example, the slope would be 2. So my slope would be 2 over 1, which means I'm going up 2 and to the right 1. And my intercept, B, would be at 0, 1. So to graph that line, I'm going to go to 0, 1 first. And then I'm going to move up 2 over 1. So I'm going to count 1, 2 over 1. 1, 2 over 1. Okay, and then if we want to extend the other way, we just reverse it, down 2 to the left 1. Okay, and then you want to make sure that you connect your points. If you have a ruler at home, I would recommend doing that with a straight edge of some sort. Arrows, and then you should label your lines. So, okay, so there's our first line. Then you move on to the second. So here we have a slope now of 4. So my M is going to be 4 over 1. Since the 4 is positive, we go up 4 to the right 1. If the 4 was negative, we would go down. And my B this time is going to start at 0, negative 3, because it's a minus 3. So I'm going to start there. We go to 0, 1, 2, 3. There's my point, my intercept, and I'm going to count up 4 over 1. 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. Okay. So I do see my solution is right here, but I'm going to connect my points. Arrows, label the line. And then anytime you are graphing, to find the solution, you want to make sure you circle the point. That is your solution. And then you'll identify it. You'll say solution. And you write the coordinate. So the coordinate would be 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 5. Okay, and then if you want to do a check, you can always take 2, 5 and make sure that it keeps your equations true by plugging them in. So for example, if I did 2 times 2, because that's the x, that would be 4, plus 1 is 5, which is my y. So this works for this one. And then I check again. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 minus 3 is 5. So I do get 2, 5 for both of them. So I know that that solution is correct. Okay, so that's going to be your first question, solving by graphing. The next question is going to be what we did on Monday when you're given 1 in slope-intercept form and 1 in standard form. Okay, so since this one is already solved for y, we make our circle and we're going to substitute it in where we see y. Okay, so this is going to be, I'll use my color coding, 2x minus 3 parentheses. I'm going to put x minus 8 in. So x minus 8, close my parentheses, equals 29. And then you guys should know how to solve this. We're going to distribute, okay, and we'll get 2x minus 3x. A negative times a negative is a positive, so plus 24 equals 29. And then from here, you guys should know what to do. You're going to combine your like terms. Excuse me. And then we would just solve our two-step equation. So I would subtract my constant. I would get negative 1x equals 5. And then I would divide by negative 1. So x equals negative 5. Now remember, that is just what x equals. So then you would have to go back to the easier equation. I would probably pick the top one and figure out what y is. So y equals x minus 8. We would plug in negative 5 for x. So it would be y equals negative 5 minus 8. And we would get y equals negative 13. Okay, and then the last thing you want to do is write it as a solution. So your final answer would be negative 5, negative 13, like that. Okay. The next question is going to be two equations in standard form. I'm not going to do all the work for my example that I have here because you guys have been doing this the last 3 days. But remember, you look at the two equations and you figure out which one would be easier to solve for a variable. So in this one, it would be the second equation because y is almost by itself. So we would do, I would take the second equation and I would inverse the 2x to get it alone. To get y alone. So now I'm left with y equals negative 2x plus 2. And then if I rewrite my top equation, which I haven't used yet, 6x plus 9y equals 18, I can now take what I isolated y to be and I can substitute it in here. And then you would do the same thing I just modeled for you in the example before. Okay, and then the last question is a word problem. So I made this one up, but it's similar to what you might see. So it says Paul has $100 and plans to save at a rate of $10 per day. So right here, I'm noticing the word rate and per when the $10 was mentioned. So I start already thinking of, okay, this must be my slope. And if he has $100, then this must be my y-intercept. So I know that the equation for Paul is probably going to be in slope-intercept form. Then it says Allison has $200 and plans to save at a rate of $5 per day. So I'm noticing the same thing. Rate and per with 5, that means that's my slope. And then she has $200, so that must be my y-intercept. So both of these equations are going to be in slope-intercept form. They then say at how many days will they have the same amount. So you need to now take that information and write your two equations. So you're going to make an equation for Paul, you're going to make an equation for Allison, and then you would solve. So I'm going to erase because this board is very dirty. So let's see. So we would have Paul has $100 and is saving $10 per day. So that equation to me would be y equals 10 per day plus the 100 he has. And Allison's would be y equals $5 per day plus the 200 she has. And then the directions are going to say solve using substitution. So to solve using substitution, you would take what y equals, plug it in here, and then we would wind up getting 10x plus 100 equals 5x plus 200. And you have a regular variables on both sides equation. So you would pick an anchor, you would inverse. Okay, I'm going to go through this pretty quick. You would then move your constant. And then we would divide by 5. Okay, so once you have x, then you go back, you take that value, you plug it in. So I'll use my top equation, y equals 10x plus 100. We would plug in 20. And that would give us 300 for y. So x is 20, y is 300. So my solution would be, what was it, 20, 300. And then if I relate it back to the problem, we would say, okay, at 20 days, Paul and Allison would both have $300. Okay, I hope this helped. Please remember you can only use substitution on today's assessment for the last 3 problems. The first one is obviously solved by graphing. You'll see a coordinate plane there. Do your best, take your time, check all of your work, and good luck.